I wanted to tell you a little bit of my story, and also in the beginning about, why sustainability is close to my heart, and why on earth am I here today. And my background is, okay, I'm 57, so there's a lot of background. So basically I've been like more than 20 years in IT business, so Oracle, Microsoft. I've been an HR director, mostly in sales most of my life, sales director for EMEA, for retail industries, and doing a lot of stuff like that. But then maybe 10 years ago, I joined one of the boards of the NGO in Finland. World Vision is a global NGO, child protection NGO, and World Vision is located in more than 100 countries with 3.1 billion turnover. So it's doing humanitarian aid, child protection, you name it, development programs in all kind of places in the world, helping the most fragile, most vulnerable people. So we went to places, or we're going to places where nobody else usually goes to. So and then after being a board member, I started and I applied for the CEO position for World Vision Finland. So for 6 years I've been traveling around, traveling around the world. Usually when I went to a place, they went me to visit a dump site. So, because that's where the poorest people are living. So I've been into the refugee camps, and dump sites in Mongolia and Armenia and Philippines and Uganda and Kenya, Rwanda, Cambodia, you name it. So usually, I've seen the dump sites of the big cities and the slums. So, and then one of our job was also to help disabled refugees. These stories are, this is the dump site Korokocho in center of Nairobi, the worst place. So usually when you go to that area, you need to have armed security with you, because it's very dangerous to walk around there. And those other pictures, this is Alex from Adjumani refugee camp. That's Opi, and I forgot the name of this lady in the middle of the big picture, but it's from Omuga refugee camp, very close to Congo border. So basically, my job was to make sure that the funds that we are raising in Finland, our turnover was about 12 million, 13 million a year, euros, and then that money was used in those countries to make the world run better, so especially very focused on the disability. And basically, during those 6 years, what I learned, so what I took from the business life to an NGO was more like pipeline building, funnels, marketing, how you create productivity, how you do more with less, how you use technology, how you do the marketing and all that, how to make it function so that, we are more efficient with raising the funds, and also the return on investment and total cost of ownership, things like that. And then what I took back from there was actually the understanding about change management. And if you look at the lives of people that are escaping war, they've lost their children, maybe parents, sometimes their health, they've been injured. Like Alex here, his legs are not functioning. So his village was, the soldiers came in and they started to burn the village and shoot, so they needed to escape. And because he was disabled, he had already lost his family, so he was alone. So he was crawling more than 2 weeks, like this, to get to the refugee camps. And it's very warm. It's like total heat, there in the border of Uganda. You don't know, nothing to eat. People were running all over him, and he was hiding in the bushes during the night. So, with the animals, so there were snakes and hyenas and all, So you can only imagine that how tough it is for Alex to get to a refugee camp. And then finally he gets to the refugee camp, so he gets some help, and okay, he gets the clean water, he gets to wash, and he gets to drink the clean water. And this is the status where he finally has a profession for himself. So he's doing milling, and he has this association with his friends that they are doing the kind of graining and milling for the refugee camp. And he says that he's so happy and he can afford to buy anything he wants, because he has a profession. So the belt, for instance, is one example of that. So everything is relative, okay? So I was traveling, I was talking with these people, and they taught me that they said that actually, pay attention to the things you have. Don't pay attention to the things that you don't have, okay? And I go like, in my head, I go like, but you don't have anything, But actually, you have hands, you have your brains, maybe you have your family, you have your kids. Some of them have their kids, some of them have hands, but but still the focus is on the things what you have. And the focus is also on the things, how you define yourself. You don't define yourself where you're coming from, but you define yourself and your future where you're going to, because you only can start your journey from where you are, exactly at this spot, and then you can go forward. So don't look back, So whatever there is, you can always have the resilience and the attitude and hope and the kind of there is a lot of powers in human beings when they decided to do something, and they get a second chance. Okay, so Oppi, for instance, in this corner, he was born without hands, but he's a secretary for the disabled committee in the refugee camp of Adjumani. So, but then he's also an artist. He has painted this picture and he's a businessman. He's doing soap and he's selling the soap, and he's teaching actually the other people to also manufacture the soap, and so he can pay for his studies at the university. Okay, so there's a lot of stories we can learn from, even in a situation like this. So let's go even deeper. So I'm going to put you in a very difficult situation, understanding about what's happening in the world. Okay, we have very close here some crises going on, and so we, in Finland and in Baltics especially, we feel it in our bones that okay, world can change very suddenly. But there are if you look at the things that are going, the global crisis right now. So on top of Ukraine, we have Afghanistan. Nobody's talking about it now, but it's still very much ongoing. Syria has been for 10 years. There's a crisis, Venezuela, Congo, there is Myanmar, there is you name it, but there's a lot of places actually right now. So we have big crises on the world going on right now. We're talking about hunger, and that is getting really big now, especially with the Ukrainian situation, but also pandemia. So the problems with logistics, you know how it caused the problems when the borders were closed, and also when kids were not in the schools. The number of child marriages is like, some estimation is 90 million more than normally in a year, because the poor people, they cannot afford their living. So suddenly it sounds very practical, because the kids are not in the school, so you get a good deal by selling your kid into a marriage, and monetize your living with that. And then climate change, the extreme situation when it comes to drought and floods. So we have a lot of extreme examples. One example is Taiwan, where almost 60% of the components are produced to our machines. So they have a dry season. It's a severe dry season. in more than, was it 56 years? So, and when you build components and produce them, you need to have a lot of water. And now it's driest ever in 56 years. Okay, so these kind of changes, they are affecting our lives here. And these are global problems that we cannot actually close our eyes, because we are in this world together. And then if you look at COVID-19, what it has caused, it's not done yet. We just don't talk about it not that much now. But we have not vaccinated not even half of the population on the earth. So there's a lot of things that are ongoing, and it's, this is life, okay? We need to just understand, and we need to have understanding on where we are and what our world looks like. So we cannot close our eyes. And now, the more we have information with transparency and we get the visibility all around the world, we need to be very sophisticated and global citizens to understand this is the world we're living in, okay, today. So don't close your eyes. At the same time, the clusters of drivers of change, we're talking about mega trends. So, technological change is something that it's very on top right now. And this is why we're here also today. So we're going to talk about technology. We have a scarcity of resources, so it's very hard to find right kind of people to work in especially in white collar industry, but also the people that are working in the countries where our minerals are coming from, the low cost kind of the labor areas, So we're going to have scarcity on resources. So, it's just curiosity, and horrible one is that Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, is producing a lot of the cobalt in the world. And most of that cobalt that we are actually using, we are all carrying cobalt with us, is mined by child labor. So, no human rights in that area, and very tough conditions, and mostly done by children. And so basically, our value chains are going very, very far. So am I kind of radical enough here with this information? But I'm not going to scare you. It's not because I'm scaring you. This is, based on facts. This is the world we're living in. Let's take the other side. It's not that bad, because there is hope. If you look at this on perspective, let's put it on the scale like 15 years. We're saying that poverty has going bad during the COVID, so we've taken step backs like 5 years. But if you look at 15 years, we're still on a good track. Okay, if you take 100 years, we're very much on the good track. So things are also getting better. So it does not make any sense to just give up and say, all right, we've lost this game, nothing can be done. But yes, there's a lot of stuff that we can do. And this is what I wanted to also tell, through my story, that why SAP? So why am I now working after all this experience in SAP? So there was a certain moment when I realized that, okay, something needs to be done differently, and maybe I will tell about this moment later when that happened. But it's estimated that 70% of business transactions in the world is going somehow through SAP. Okay. So there's a lot of responsibility. It's not just the business opportunity, but it's also a responsibility, because we are actually obliged to do something with this through our customers and the ecosystem. And it's estimated that the heaviest industries, the carbon industries, are using SAP. So 80% of those are using SAP. So it's our responsibility to take sustainability in a very serious way. Okay. So one of the reasons is it's because of this. We are looking at because you will have a lot of presentations today about zero inequality, zero waste, and zero emissions, so all the climate actions. We're going to hear about oceans. We're going to hear about, how is the world doing? What kind of things are happening here? And also we're going to get some ideas and technological solutions. So how we're going to at least somehow fix some of the things so that we get more transparency, we get more openness, we get more systematic way of looking at the things. And the key thing is that if businesses are doing this profitable, we can actually make some of the changes happen. We were talking about one product, and can I tell about the background, where you're from and all that? Yeah. So she's coming from Mexico City. 26 million people living in one city. Okay, Finland is 5.5 million people. So so I don't even have my imagination going that far. But whenever I went to a place like Mongolia, very far in the, or let's say what is the most exotic, Iloilo Island, Philippines, or a refugee camp in North Uganda. So there was one product all over, and what's that product that it's seen wherever you go. If there's no electricity, there's no clean water, there is something. So what is your guess? Coca-Cola, yeah. So it's all over. Isn't it amazing that it's, so looking at, on the other side, okay, one quite high penetration for that market, but what is the responsibility of a product like that? In the most poorest places where people don't have clothes, So at certain, some corner, there is maybe a vending machine or something, a fridge, or even a logo. You can see the logo anyway. So, okay, I've seen places where there is no vending machines, but you can find a T-shirt, with the logo of Coca-Cola. If you look at businesses like that, there's a lot of also opportunities and responsibility and change. You can do a lot of change because, some of brands are very, very highly penetrated around the world. And of course, there's regulation that's also helping. So there are going to be some more and more legal stuff. I think we made a very good move. Was it 2 weeks ago in European Union when we decided that we're only going to have one plug-in for chargers for mobile phones. So, that's a very good decision. And go to Netflix and have a look at the document about what's happening with electronic waste in Ghana and how they are burning the batteries and electronic waste and trying to get the copper out of that and all that. So it makes a lot of sense actually to reduce the number of electronic waste as well, okay? So we're going to have regulations like that. We're going to have business decisions that are going to change. Little by little, we're going to go to the right direction. So I'm not saying that, after this seminar, we're ready and everything's going to be good, but we can move to the right direction. So we start from here and we take the steps to the right direction, okay? So this is the story when I thought that, okay, maybe I'll go back to business again. This was the Philippines. This is Iloilo. It's one of the slums there. I attended a ground trip or kind of ground survey where we went to the slums and we were talking with people and we were asking that, just one example, so on the waste. So we were said that, okay, you are using these shampoo sachets. So it's like one disposable sachet, I don't know, maybe 50 cents, 25 cents. And it's plastic and foil. It's shiny, pink, looks nice and it's very luxurious. And as you can see it from a kiosk there, there's a lot of disposable one-time uses like detergents and whatever washing fluids and shampoos and everything is disposable. So we went around and asked that, okay, would you change your sachet to a recyclable bottle where you can have a bit more with the same price and you can go and fill it in, so you have this one bottle and you fill it in, and so you don't need to throw away the sachet every time you've been using. But it's very obvious that it's not going to change by the consumers. Because if you have visited slums, you can understand that there is no locks, there are no storages, you have a tiny little room with 13 people living there, hardly a roof. There's no place where you can put your precious shampoo away, and you don't even know if you're going to wash your hair next week. So you're really living on the moment. So, if you find a water hose in the middle of the street and you have this 50 cents so you can buy your shampoo, but you still want to look pretty, you want to smell good, you want to be clean. It's about humanity, it's about human rights, and it's about identity that, you have the right to be clean and feel nice about yourself. So, that's not going to change. Then I started to calculate, okay, we're going to be 8 billion 2025 altogether. So due to an urbanization process, 70% of us is living in the cities. Out of that, at least 1/3 is living in areas where there's no infrastructure, there's no water or toilets, or so it's going to be very slum kind of area. So we're talking about 1.8 billion people. So let's imagine that these 1.8 billion people weekly are using, let's say, 2 shampoo sachets if it's a good week. Okay, and then all that waste is thrown away in the oceans and in the water, in this, wherever. In the rivers. So that takes about 300 billion shampoo sachets a year. Usually it's, well, I'm not probably supposed to say, but Sunsilk and Head and Shoulders were the brands. So we'll go back to the businesses. So I thought, okay, for instance, SAP now has a customer Colgate-Palmolive, producing the toothpaste, for instance. Okay, so right now at this moment of time, 9 billion packages of toothpaste are in plastic yearly, but they have made a promission. They have promised that by 2025 they're going to replace all of that with renewable or recyclable products or packages. I think that makes sense, okay? So they are using technology, the product footprint management to track down, where the materials are coming from and, the whole process. So there's an innovation and the brands are doing the change. So, okay, I'm kind of holding on to multiplying those kind of ideas so that we understand where our goods are coming from. And when you look at the sustainability, it's not just carbon. Everybody's talking about carbon now, but actually, this is World Economic Forum framework. So, there's a lot of good governance stuff that, we all need to be transparent, systematic. There's ethics and reporting and governance and kind of then we have prosperity when it comes to the economic contribution, and we have people-related stuff, everything that, where our people are working and what's the value chain, what kind of agreements do they have, what kind of work conditions, are they paid equally, what about the risks and health and safety and things like that. So we need to track that down, and then everything to do with the planet. So sustainability, it's a very huge area and very complicated if you take it as a whole, okay? But you need to start with one corner. So, and the reason why we're here today is that through our partners and the ecosystem and through our products, there is a very good understanding on what we can do with some of the stuff. So it's not only the regularity, or it's not only the reporting or the legal stuff that where we need to do the change, but you can also start to innovate, and you can also start to new processes and new services and new products that are sustainable, that are actually helping our children, their children, to have a future that actually that the planet will carry, everything that's on it. So basically, that's the kind of the story about why, so understanding the crisis and looking at the personal stories and how we have resilience and hope, and there's still a lot of things that we can do, and then closing the loop with technology and business and make the money move. So if we don't make the money move, none of this is gonna happen. So that's why we are all on the good side. Okay, so it's not that I used to be on the good side and now I'm on the bad side. No, we are all on the good side because we have a lot of influence power through the work that we're doing. So that's it. Okay.